Thank you. This is a ridiculously packed house. Is everyone comfortable back there? You can stand through all this? You all right with that? Everyone's cool? All right. Welcome to the 2017 In-Flight Report for Fantasy Flight Games. My name is Andrew Navarro. I'm the head of Fantasy Flight Games Studio. This may be news to some of you. You might be expecting to see Christian Peterson up here. But at the beginning of the year, I was given a tremendous opportunity to take over as head of the studio and work every day with amazingly talented, passionate, just beautiful people who I enjoy working with every day. And it's just been great. This is, I'm sorry, I'm really kind of blown away by the number of people here. This is pretty fantastic. It's way more than I was expecting. And thank you for taking time out of your day, taking time out of Gen Con to come here and listen to us talk about our games. So we really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much. All right. So, while Chris isn't up here, he's still at the show, he's still involved, and I think he would like to say a couple words, so let's check in with him right now.
Hi everybody, this is Chris. I'm down here at the floor of Gen Con, so I am here, and I love it, and I hope you will too. Thanks for coming to the show, and thank you for coming to an in-flight report. I'm so proud to be able to pass the torch from the in-flight report off to Andrew. He's going to do a great job. I hope you'll love to hear what he has to say, but please go gentle on him and have a fantastic time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. All right, so it's the 50th Gen Con. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of things make it to 50 years. It's pretty amazing. And I think it's also amazing that it's the most highly attended Gen Con in history, which is just fantastic. So it's a big anniversary for Gen Con, but it's also a big anniversary for us. So yeah, so 20 years ago, these guys, these guys right here, debuted a game called Twilight Imperium. And they didn't know it at the time, but Twilight Imperium would go on to become an incredibly popular, iconic game, and I think like the most iconic game in Fantasy Flight's catalog. Last week, we announced Twilight Imperium 4th edition, which we're very excited about. It took a lot of work, a lot of effort, and I think it's the best version of the game so far. So I don't know if some of you have seen Shut Up and Sit Down is doing a documentary about Twilight Imperium 4th edition, and I saw their trailer up there, and it has me like proudly proclaiming that I've never played the game. And at the time of that interview, I had it. I have since. I'm happy to report. So, if any of you are like me, I spent a lot of time like just hearing about Twilight Imperium, about like how long it is, like it takes like days to play. It's just this giant beast of a game, so I was always really intimidated to like sit down and actually play it. But when we began development on 4th edition, I happily ran out of excuses and was able to play. And much to my delight, it's a game, and it's a lot of fun. It's not difficult at all. I think at its core, it has very beautiful, simple systems that really allow for really great player interaction. I think it reminds me a lot of role-playing games. I'm a big role-playing gamer, and if any of you, I'm sure some of you have played a role-playing game before. It can take a long time to play, but really it takes a long time because you're spending so much time just goofing around with your friends, just joking with each other and interacting. And I feel like Twilight Imperium felt a lot like that to me, where we were crafting a story as we were playing. And the length contributed to that, where the story that we were telling as we were playing had a lot of interesting, great twists and turns, backstabbing, brinksmanship leading to disaster. It was really great. So, like I said, this is, I think, our best edition of the game so far. It's giant. It has all 17 alien races. It has hundreds of newly sculpted plastic components. It has gorgeously illustrated planet tiles, a whole bunch of brand new illustrations for all the aliens. I think it's great. So if any of you feel like I did and have been not playing Twilight Imperium, I really recommend you pick this one up and give it a try. It's really not that scary. All right, and it's here right now. It's here right now, which is great. All right, Rune Wars miniatures game. Last year at the In-Flight Report, we announced the Rune Wars miniatures game. For me, personally, this is one of my favorite game lines to work on, from the art, to the miniatures design, to the lore, helping to flesh out the world of Runebound, which was popularized with Runebound and Descent, but got its start like back at Battle Mist and Discourse. It's really great, and the team's a lot of fun to work with. So let's hear from that team right now.
We announced the Wars a year ago at Gen Con, had a great reception, and since then we released the game in April, and it's been very successful for us.
A lot of diversity, a lot of in the factions that we have, a lot of different angles that we kind of went down through all of the development processes, and we just have so many products kind of lined up for the game, and just we're really starting to kind of flesh out the 4 different factions for the game, and really kind of make them unique and kind of have a different experience on the tabletop and how you play them.
Rune Wars launched with 2 factions, the Deccan Lords and Wykar the Undying. We put a ton of work into these 2 factions, and it's really cool to see them finally hit players' hands and see the great reception we're getting. Each of the factions has their own unique identity. The Deccan Lords are the human lords of Tyranoth. Their soldiers inspire each other on the battlefield to different unique, potent effects. While Wykar the Undying is the lord of the undead legions of Tyranoth. He marches onto the battlefield with hordes of skeletons that come back from the dead, and skeleton archers that shoot blighting arrows that weaken his opponents.
Since then, we've announced 2 new factions for the game. We've got the Latari Elves and the Ithil'Ulan. They each kind of add their own tactical nuances to the game. The Latari Elves use high mobility and surge abilities to kind of outmaneuver their foes and strike them where they're the weakest. And the Ithil'Ulan use terror tactics and fear to force their opponents into a different kind of battle. They're pretty much just a self-sacrificing kind of faction in which they are mostly focused about defeating their foe at any cost. So they'll often inflict damage upon themselves to create greater chaos across the battlefield. Now that we've kind of established Rune Wars as being a pillar of the Runebound universe, we're really excited about fleshing out those 4 factions, giving them kind of new mechanics and new identities. To really kind of diversify the overall experience when you play Rune Wars. Tyranoth is a vast place with a lot of possibilities, and we're really excited about what the future holds.
So as I mentioned in that video, the game currently has 4 factions, 3 of which have been released. The Elves released here at Gen Con. We have the Deccan Lords, which are like the disparate nobility of Tyranoth. They're tasked with defending a largely wild continent from threats from without for a king that has long abandoned them. We have Wykar the Undying, which is a undead legion that's fueled from the hatred of the Second Darkness. And then, like I said, we just have the show here, the Latari Elves, which are like near immortal beings that saw the humans and dwarves and orcs like rise up out of nothing at the dawn of time. I really love that tree guy. I don't know if you've seen that at our booth, but he's really cool. And then we have the Ithil'Ulan, which are going to be coming out this fall. This was, I think, probably one of my most fun factions to work on because it lets me be as gross as humanly possible, and I really get into that kind of dark, gross stuff. We have a ton of miniatures lined up in this line. We can't wait to get them all out to you. We have so many more things that we're not even showing here. We don't even have it at the booth. But we have a lot lined up. I hope you're as excited as I am to see how these designs kind of come out and how they flesh out the lore of this setting, which has been a lot of fun to work on. All right, well, I'm about ready to take a little break, so I'm going to have Corey Konecka come up. He's our VP of Research and Design and our Executive Game Designer. So, Corey.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about some games today. So, Andrew was talking a little about Rune Wars, and the Runebound world, to some people, may seem like just a generic fantasy world, but we've put a lot of effort. There's a lot of story there that I think a lot of people haven't heard about. And they're really going to get to dive into that with our newest game that we just announced, Legacy of Dragonhold. Now, the first question that I always get about this game is, what the heck is it? What is this game? And it's not an easy question to answer, because the main designer of this game, Nikki Valens, kind of went out of her way to make something innovative and interesting and hard to kind of peg down. I feel like when people try to, or they ask me to describe a game, they always try to relate it to something else that they know. So this game's just like Monopoly, but in Runebound, right? But no, that's not true. This is something new, and I'm going to try to describe it to you right now. So, Legacy of Dragonhold it's a game about exploring and discovery. And the way that we do this is the game comes with a map of the village of Dragonhold. And across the village are all sorts of different things you can do. You can explore anywhere that you want, kind of at your leisure. But this is a living village. There are NPCs that are living their own lives. There are different parts of town. If you go to the tavern in the morning, you're going to have different encounters than you go there at night. And every decision that you make is going to be remembered by the game. So if you come back here later, they're going to remember that you burned down their house, and they're not going to be happy with you. So don't do that. But it's a living world. And what we're trying to do in this game, in addition to that, is a lot of people call it, in the office, kind of like, is this a role-playing game, maybe without a GM? And to an extent it is. I mean, you get to make your character, you've got your skills, you've got your talents and whatnot. If you choose your race, you can be a cat person. But ultimately, you get to kind of level up your character and have that role-playing experience, and you don't need a game master. You get to explore this open world. In addition to kind of the exploration elements, you get, there's 6 quests in the box, and these quests come out organically as you're kind of exploring the world. Like, maybe you'll encounter some farmer whose wife turned into some giant spider thing and is eating all the children. That doesn't happen, but it gives you an idea that these things that you may encounter in the world that are going to spawn larger quests. And you're ultimately trying to unravel the mystery that's happening in this sleepy little town. And you might get to fight a dragon, I'm not sure. So, this is something really special, and stay tuned to our website to find out more information about it. I think we've got something unique here, and I'm really excited for people to see it. So moving on, I'd like to talk a little about Civilization New Dawn. So this is a new Civilization game that we're working on, and it's a fast game. You can play a game of it in 1 to 2 hours. And I bet there are probably some Civ fans out there that are like, what? Like, if I'm not up till 2 a.m. in the morning and feel like crap the next day, it's not Civilization. But this game is our counter-argument against that. So, if you're playing a game, if it's a quick game, if it's streamlined, like, how does it feel like Civ? The lead designer, James Niffen, he's a huge Civ fan. And he tells me that you can't spell Civilization without 4 X's. I don't trust his spelling skills, but he really does care about it, and he made sure that you can do all those things that you expect to do in Civilization. And so, as you'd expect, there's multiple paths to victory that you can take. You can focus on tech, you can buy some nukes, you can explore, do diplomacy, and depending upon how you want to play the game, you can win that way. And this is a game that we're demoing at our booth right now, so I really hope that you go down and try it out. You'll tell us what you think, because I really feel like we've done something special here. Genesis. So, Genesis is a game that, honestly, you, the fans, have been asking us for a long time to make. And so we've listened, we've heard you, and we're going to do it. And to talk a little bit about it, let's hear from the lead designer, Sam Stewart.
Genesis is a role-playing game that is flexible enough to be used with any setting, from fantasy to steampunk to science fiction. The idea came about after I had gone to a few conventions and seen people using our narrative dice system and using it to run games in a bunch of different settings. They were inventing their own settings, doing different stuff with it. Could we take this system and turn it into a more flexible game? And from there, we've created a game that is designed to be adapted into any setting, from science fiction to steampunk to fantasy. So one of the things that's really awesome about Genesis is that it's not just a repackaging of the narrative dice system. It was also our chance to create some really new and interesting mechanics for this game to help really facilitate it being a flexible game that works in a lot of different settings. We've been able to tweak and revise the vehicle rules, and we've also created a whole section of the book that talks about how you can build your own stuff in Genesis. And that goes from equipment to new talents to whole new rules, everything you need to make Genesis into your own game. Here at Fantasy Flight, we know that a lot of people really love our own internal settings that we've developed over the years, from Android to the Roombound universe. And Genesis is going to give us the opportunity to explore those settings in a role-playing game. We've been working on Genesis for the better part of a year now, and honestly, we are just really excited that you are going to get the chance to try it out for the first time right here at Gen Con.
Thank you, Sam. So, if you couldn't tell, we're really excited about this game. It's flexible, it's fun, it's injected with narrative, and we're really excited for people to finally see this game when it comes out. But we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. It should be out this year, though. Now I'd like to change gears a little bit and welcome on stage our good friend Pete Fedlin. I think he's going to be unraveling the mysteries of the universe for us up here, so thank you, Pete.
So, hi, as the sign says, and the intro says, I'm Pete Fedlin. I'm CEO of Catan Studio, and as I like to say every year, I'm still older than Gen Con. This is my 38th year as a publisher, so I'm very blessed to be here. And I've been doing this because it's all about fun, and I'm here to talk about a very, very fun game, which we're just bringing out the fourth quarter of this year, which is a Game of Thrones, Catan, Brotherhood of the Watch. This game's been in development for a couple of years. It's taken us about that long to hone the title down to this short, manageable. Okay, so Game of Thrones Catan is all about, it's a collaboration between Catan Studio and Fantasy Flight Games, and it's a sweet, sweet union of Catan mechanics, both old mechanics, familiar good mechanics, and some very, very exciting new mechanics in a kind of quasi-cooperative game format. As you can see here, we have a beautiful picture on the cover from Volkan Baga. It depicts the wall from George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. And as you look east down the wall toward that wonderful Catan rising sun, you see on the left the wilds of the far north. And on the right, the area called the Gift, which was 8,000 years ago given to the Brotherhood of the Watch, the Night's Watch, as a way of supporting them in their defense for Westeros against all of the evils and dangers of the far north. And in your game, in this game, that is going to be your mission, because you are a brother of the Night Watch. Actually, you're a Knight's Commander. And as a Knight's Commander, your mission is to reinforce, strengthen, remand the wall, and repopulate the gift, which has been depopulated out of fear of the wildlings and the other wilds from the far north. You have, in the course of that, 11 heroes to help you in your cause as you build roads and settlements and keeps, and you actually build the guards and put them on the wall and support them. And you can't win this game unless you cooperate. As in a normal Catan game, you need to trade, you need to build and settle, in some cases in unison, as much as in competition. And here it's ever more so important, because ultimately your goal is to fight back the horde of the wildlings who, as you settle the gift and as you build stuff, seem to be pouring more and more out, coming southward across the wilds from the north, apparently pushed by some unknown force. Now, a lot of the brothers understand this unknown force to be an unimaginably large herd of undead sheep. However, we're not really sure about that. You'll learn a little bit more as you play. All right. So there are two ways to win this game. One is a traditional game, and you successfully settle a gift, you become the most effective settler, you acquire the necessary victory points, and you basically create a nice balance of support for the wall, keep the wildlings at bay, and you win the game. Or, if things don't work out so well, which is often the case in this game, the wildlings will actually come over the wall. And we have three flavors of wildlings. We have the sort of pesky climbers who basically will sneak over the wall or around the wall and disrupt things, but don't actually invade the gift. They kind of come and visit a little bit. Then we have the wildling armies. The wildling armies actually invade the gift by penetrating the wall. And then we have the giants, who also can invade the gift, but in the process, they actually eliminate your wall guards and break down your army. If the wildlings cross and invade successfully 3 times, you lose the game as a group. You lose, you fail your mission. However, there is a tragic victor, and the tragic victor is whoever contributes the most to the support of the defensive Westerness, and the process of the game, it does the most noble thing. So, it's a very interactive game, as most Catan games are, maybe more so than normal, because it is quasi-cooperative. It's lots of fun. There are sheep, as always, and that's cool. And we're very, very excited to partner with Fantasy Flight this year and bring this wonderful story to you. So look for it around the show. We have a giant floor version of the game, and it'll be in shops, I think, Q4.
Fallout. Yeah. So we just announced our Fallout board game. When I found out we got the Fallout license, I about lost my mind. I have sunk hundreds of hours into Fallout, exploring the wastelands, shooting super mutants, rummaging through dumpsters for cats, drinking out of toilets. I love that game. We're demoing it at our booth right now. Hopefully some of you had a chance to try it. If you hadn't, I recommend you go check it out. Let's hear right now from Andrew Fisher, who is the designer of Fallout board game.
Fallout is an adventure board game where you and up to 3 other players play as survivors exploring the post-apocalyptic wastelands of Fallout 3 and 4. You choose a scenario at the beginning of the game, and that determines which wasteland you're going to be exploring and what factions you're going to be fighting for influence over. As you go through the wasteland, you're going to be fighting monsters, having encounters, making decisions, completing quests. The decisions you make will permanently alter the wasteland and add new encounters that that you can come across, so your decisions really impact and change every game you play. We really wanted to get across the personalization you get in the Fallout video games into our board game as well, so that you can really customize your board game experience to you. Fans of the video game are going to see all the different character customization options they know and love in the board game. You can advance your 7 different special stats as you play through and level up. You can choose which weapons and armor you want to equip, what companions you want to have with you. You also get traits that track the decisions you've made and the different moral choices you've made, and what different people in the Wasteland think of you and the choices you've made as you adventure. We had an incredible time working with Bethesda on this project. We had a lot of back and forth with them. We even brought the prototype out to their offices and played and got feedback with them in person. And we're all massive fans of the Fallout video games here. We knew we wanted to bring this world we love to the tabletop. From the power armor to the death claws to the zany sense of humor you get in the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Fallout, we wanted a tabletop experience that encapsulated all of that. We're super excited to have Fallout here at Gen Con, and we can't wait for you to come down and demo it at our booth.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys are so excited about that. As Andrew mentioned in the video, we did get the opportunity to go out to Bethesda and play the game with designers out there. And we're lucky enough to have 2 of those guys that are here right now. Please welcome to the stage Alan Naines and John Paul Duvall.
Hello. So I'm Alan. I've been working at Bethesda for almost 16 years. Really happy to be here.
I'm John Paul, about 13 years at Bethesda.
Yeah, so I've worked on a lot of the products. We're actually game designers, so a lot of the quests, plotting, stuff like that, writing. So we were struck when they came down with this game. They came to us and they showed us the game, and we got to play with Andrew and talk to him about it. We were amazed like how well the video game and the board game juxtaposed. They went together really well. Starting off with and they actually took it beyond where the video game goes in some ways. For example, like picking your character at the beginning. When you're playing the Fallout game, you're usually playing like the Lone Wanderer, stuff like that. But in this game, you can even play other characters, even super mutants and ghouls, things like that.
Yeah, and the exploration of the board game is really great too. As you're exploring, you turn over these tiles and find new places to explore. And they have like all kinds of iconic locations from the various Fallout games and the DLCs.
Yeah, those are great. And of course, quests. They have 2 levels of quests. It's very much like how when we said design the video game, it feels like they did the same thing. It's, again, nice concurrence. They have a main quest where 2 factions vying for control of the wasteland, and then also lots of different side quests and stuff like that. Never-ending, changing quests that you make decisions, things happen.
Yeah, like when you arrive at towns or other wasteland locations, you get this deck of cards that you flip over, and then there's choices that you can make. Like, do you help this person? Do you kick them to the curb? And those choices actually impact the game. They put cards back in your decks, or you get little icons that tell you if people like you or not. And that comes back into play a lot. So your decisions have consequences, which is awesome.
Yeah, and you're able to take a lot of companions with you. I think Andrew mentioned that in the video. I mean, that's something that's near and dear to John Paul and my heart, because we work on the companion system. So we're glad to see like Cade and Paladin Dance and all those guys are in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and the combat uses dice that have little pips on them that are the VAX targeting stuff, so it feels like you're playing a video game and you're rolling the dice and you're getting shot at.
Yeah, that's always good.
You will get shot at and you will probably die, I think. I usually die at least once.
Much like in the video game. Also, we have a term we kick around the office when we're figuring out like how we're going to reward the player, and we call it loot joy. And that is literally finding loot, all kinds of cool stuff. I think there's some cool pictures in that video of like some of the stuff you can find, like power armor, laser rifles, things like that. I mean, that's something that we think is important to reward the player, not just with experience points, but just also loot. I mean, it's fun to get loot, fun to get gear, and the board game does that really well, really well.
Yeah, you'll notice all kinds of fun stuff from the video anywhere. And leveling up was great too, with the specials. You get to pick. When you level up, you get a choice of specials. If you pick one that you already have, you get a perk. And they did a really good job of taking the perks from the video game and translating them to the board game. It feels really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. It was really great working with you guys, and we're like super we want to be involved.
Yeah, our marketing guy's like, would you like to work on, a board game a little bit? I'm like, yeah. That'd be super awesome. So yeah, it was really a pleasure working with you guys on the project. Thanks for having us here, and hope you guys enjoy the board game. It's really nice to see that a video game can be reborn as a board game.
Yep.
Yeah, so like as I mentioned, Fallout is demoing at our booth right now, and it'll be available by the end of the year. Legend of the Five Rings, the card game. I had no idea how big this game was when I started working on it. I'm glad that I didn't. I probably would have been a little more nervous. Obviously, we've been working on this game, the rebirth of this game, for the last couple of years. Really, really happy with the results from the art, graphic design, the game design itself is a lot of fun. The team did amazing work. And I'd like to play a video for you now of that team.
Legend of the Five Rings is a collectible card game that debuted in the mid to late 90s during that era when collectible card games was really at its peak, and an incredible amount of lore and memories and gameplay have really been added to it by the creators, the fan base, and have turned it into this beloved property that we have today. And now we're going to take it into the next chapter.
So Legend of the Five Rings is one of the oldest CCGs out there. Debuted in mid-90s at Gen Con to a huge tournament, a lot of excitement, because this card game brought a new element. It allowed fans to have interaction with the ongoing storyline.
As a setting, it's based in the world of Rokugan, which is a fantasy setting that is based on Japanese, some Chinese elements, Mongolian, a lot of East Asian cultures. The IP is also from the card game. It's developed a lot of fiction, RPG, miniatures games, some board games, so it's kind of blossoms into a lot of different ways for people to tap into the world.
The curtain opens on an empire in turmoil. The 7 great clans are each in a weakened position. The Crane, who are normally known for their wealth and their influence, have been hit by a massive tsunami that has affected their stores of rice and their wealth. They are suffering from decreased influence in the courts, which has allowed the Scorpion to ascend in their place. And as the Scorpion come into ascendancy, that leaves the entire political landscape in turmoil and instability. And then, of course, we also have militarily border skirmishes breaking out between the clans, and threats are coming from beyond the wall, from the Shadowlands now, to threaten the Crab and possibly all of Rokugan beyond.
So the most important things that we brought forward from the TCG are, of course, the clans. The other thing that we brought forward is a lot of the structure of how conflicts work. We want players to have this back and forth fight over the provinces that they're trying to break.
Players are going to have the chance to represent their clans. They're going to have a chance to steer the storyline in a direction that they believe will be compelling. So we're going to be having a story told both through the cards and through the fiction that comes in those card packs.
When you play the game, you're representing one of the great clans of Rokugan, so you pick the one that you want to play the most. What I'm going to be trying to do is go into my opponent's territory and take over their provinces, and there are 2 different ways to do this. One is by military attacks, one is by political attacks. The other thing that's really interesting about kind of when you're invading your opponent's area, you don't know exactly what you're going to find when you get there. So basically, the players are going to be trying to you have to break 3 of 4 front row provinces before you can get at the stronghold, and then the first player to break the opponent's stronghold will win the game.
So ever since I first encountered Legend of the Five Rings back in 2010, it quickly became my favorite setting, both to roleplay in, to read, to write in, and as someone who now gets to work on this setting with Fantasy Flight Games, it's been a dream come true. I'm really excited to be able to share these stories with you now at the Gen Con release.
So yesterday, we had our inaugural Legend of the Five Rings tournament, the Kiki Matsuri. It was amazing. I don't know if was anybody here at that. Awesome. It was great. It's over 700 people at the tournament. It's the largest tournament that we've ever had by far. And then, just hearing everybody chanting simultaneously, very loud, probably disrupting everybody else in the event hall. It was amazing, and it really drove home to me how important this game and the world of Rokugan is to so many fans. So as Katrina mentioned in the video, we're carrying the torch with this game as in the original CCG, where fans will be able to interact with the story and influence the story through our major tournaments and decisions they make at those tournaments and the results of those tournaments. So we have the first result from the tournaments yesterday. The Emperor's Favor at Winter Court. Winter Court is going to be at our World Championship event in November. And what that means is the clan who won the Emperor's Favor, our event space will be decked out in their colors and heraldry. So the winner of that was the Dragon Clan. Steve, I'm sure you're very happy with this. So the second thing that was determined yesterday was a story point that I think if you were following it on our website and reading any of our fiction leading up to release, the Phoenix Clan is practicing a very controversial, dangerous magic, name magic, using true names.
Unicorn.
Oh, unicorn, sorry. My bad. I'm learning. I'm getting there. So it's a question of whether they'd be allowed to continue using that magic or not. And the answer is this.
Yep.
You told me Phoenix. So they're going to be able to continue to use continue to use magic as they've been practicing it. So we'll see what happens. I'm imagining that horrible things will happen. I don't know if you read that story, but it didn't look like anything good was going to come from any of those premonitions. Speaking of card games. Oh yeah, it's a jangle. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. There's something I needed to mention that didn't get mentioned earlier that we were hoping to mention, is that we have the game available at the show. I think are there copies left? Are there all? Okay. So if anyone wanted a copy and didn't get a chance to get one, you won't have to wait that long. It'll be available for wide release on October 5th. All right, now to the segue I was getting to there. So speaking of card games, I'd like to welcome to the stage someone who has worked on a couple big ones, Mr. Lucas Litzinger.
How's everybody doing today? Yeah? So my name is Lucas Litzinger. I've been a game designer at Fantasy Flight Games for a long time. One of the first games I worked on was actually Android Netrunner, and I removed dice from the game. So I felt like it was time to make penance for that, and the most recent game I've worked on has been a really cool combination of cards and dice, and that is Star Wars Destiny. I don't know if anybody's heard of this game. No? Yeah, I don't think so. But this has really, I know it's a cliche, it's really been a dream come true for me to work on this game, and to see the passion that I put into it, that Corey put into it, that everybody at the studio and at Asmodee has put into making this game a reality. It's been incredible, because the production of the dice is by itself, could probably talk about that for an hour, the things that we're doing to make sure that you get these beautiful large art dice in your game that really evoke the cool Star Wars characters is impressive. But as far as the game is concerned, we have really, really exciting things in the works. We released 2 sets already, and we're about to release our 3rd set, Empire at War, and that is going to come out very, very, very soon. So be patient a little bit longer. I know a lot of people are like, oh, can I buy it? Can I buy it? And someone actually took a picture of the booster and posted on Facebook hey, look, I'm so lucky I got my copy. And people are like, nope. And so you can't buy it at the convention here, but you will be able to buy it very, very soon. And one of the great things that we're doing with Empire War is introducing Star Wars Rebels characters. So Star Wars Rebels is a TV series, and it's really incredible. They're about to come out with season 4, and so what better time to start releasing some of the Spectre crew and their adversaries than in this set. And so you'll get every member of the Spectre crew except one, which we're saving for later. And you'll also see characters like Thrawn and the Seventh Sister in the set as well. And so, in addition to that, you'll also see Ahsoka Tano, and hopefully you can kind of read that, because I don't think the card has been spoiled, so that'll be fun for everybody to bring up their spectacles and try to see what she actually does. I can just tell you. After you activate her for the first time each round, you can pay resources equal to the dice that you rolled to ready her. So you can potentially use her more than once per round. And this is a really powerful ability if anybody's played the game, being able to use your character more than once. So super excited about her. I actually put together a deck list that I think we're going to post next week, just to kind of show some of the fun tricks that you can do with her. So check out our website for that. One of the other things that we wanted to do with Empire War, which is really exciting, is boost support cards. And we actually designed and developed the first 2 sets of the game before we released any product whatsoever. And so the game came out, and it's like we already had Spirit of Rebellion in the bag, and we were actually, mostly finished on Empire War. But we were able to do some things based on kind of how that meta was developing and make some adjustments to it. And one of those things is that we felt like we wanted to push support cards more. We wanted to have you play really cool vehicles and get them onto the table at top tier, the tournament level. And so you will see really powerful scorecards. You'll see basically events and characters that interact with supports in fun ways. And so not only will new supports be seen in your decks, but you'll also be able to play a lot of old supports as well that maybe haven't seen as much play right now. And so this is, you can even see like we have a 4 resource cost on a Houndstooth, which sounds ridiculous. So in case you can't see it, it's a 2 resource cost to trigger that. But we're also beginning to explore some of the other things that we can do with the various dice in the game. And I mean, I am so excited for this product. It's really amazing. And as I said, you'll be able to buy it soon, can't buy it here. And it's been awesome to just see the response that Destiny has had. And if you haven't tried it, we do have demos, so you can go and try it. We have our tournament tomorrow, a really cool Alt-Art Vader promo that we're giving out there. And so give it a go, and may the Force be with you. Thanks.
Ha! It's our first new product announcement. All right, it would not be a in-flight report, I don't think, if we did not announce the new X-Wing Wave. It's X-Wing Wave 12. X-Wing Wave 12 includes these ships. So the first is the Kimagilla fighter. The Kimagilla is for Scum and Villainy. It's another ship that got its start in Star Wars Galaxies. It's got that Hutt paint scheme on it. This introduces a new firing art called the Bullseye firing art, where if you line up a shot just perfectly, you can do some extra damage. The next ship is the Phantom II, which is a cool little ship. And again, like back to Lucas's point, Star Wars Rebels, we're big fans of that show at FFG. And this is the new shuttle that still docks with the Ghost. It'll have some new versions of the Ghost crew on it, and it'll have I'm told, a chopper astromech upgrade. I love chopper, I don't know if you guys do. And lastly, I think this is the most requested ship on our forums and on Reddit. It's the Alpha Class Starwing, otherwise known as the Assault Gunboat. I love that little ship. It's really cool. It looks like an angry flower. It's pretty awesome. This ship introduces the slam mechanic to the Empire faction. X-Wing Wave 12, we're hoping will be available by the end of this year. Thank you. I love X-Wing. All right, Star Wars role-playing. Star Wars role-playing fans in here. It's great. Our Star Wars role-playing line has been an incredible success for us. From Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, all those books are a lot of fun to work on. They're really enjoyable for us to work on with Lucasfilm, and we've just been really happy with how it's been going. And we're continuing to push forward new stuff. Like I think at the booth, if you've seen our case, if you've seen the announcement on our website, there's an awesome book coming out that's an era source book for the Rebellion. I think is it Dawn of Rebellion? Dawn of Rebellion? That book is really, really cool. So like it's interesting in that it doesn't fit into any of our existing role-playing lines, but it is applicable to all of them. And if you get a chance to check it out, I think that no role-playing book that we've done thus far has generated as much excitement internally as that book. It's got a lot of really awesome NPCs and other great things statted out that you're really gonna love. So speaking of generating excitement, we recently announced the 30th anniversary edition of the West End Star Wars role-playing game. And here to talk about that a little bit is Pablo Hidalgo from Lucasfilm.
Good day. So, as we've talked about, it's a year of anniversaries. You've got Gen Con 50, Fantasy Flight 20, Star Wars 40 years, but an important milestone is 30 years of Star Wars role-playing. And how better to commemorate it than to bring back the books that started it all. This is a project that's very near and dear to my heart because that's how I got my professional start in Star Wars. So don't ever let anyone tell you that playing role-playing games doesn't lead to anything, because it went from being a teenager playing this game in Canada to now being part of the creative development team, helping figure out where Star Wars is going in the future in film, television, and everywhere. So it's super exciting. So let me just rewind back to 1987. It's something that people who didn't live it can't really fathom, the idea that Star Wars was not around. We're living in a world now where there seems to be a major Star Wars news story every week. But back in '87, the Marvel Comics series had ended. You couldn't buy Star Wars toys, really. And Ewoks and droids had even gone off the air. So you had nothing. You had basically a 3D comic that was published maybe quarterly, and the Star Wars role-playing game. So it started off with 2 books, the original role-playing game First Edition Rules and the Star Wars source book. And it was these books that really started defining what the Star Wars universe was. It started giving labels and descriptions to things that had only lurked in the background of the original 3 movies. And they were so important, and they got so much right that there are so many things in these books that continue to be relevant today. A Twi'lek wouldn't be a Twi'lek were it not for these books. A Hammerhead alien would only be a Hammerhead alien and not an Ithorian if not for these books. And even if you don't intend to play this, although I recommend that you do, even if you don't intend to play this, they're great reads. West End Games did such a great job at presentation back in the 80s and 90s, but also you could tell that the writers were really passionate about the subject matter. So much so that when Star Wars started this new phase of its existence in 2012, as we started looking forward to a future of new film and television, one of the things I was tasked to do was develop a writer's Bible for new writers coming aboard the Star Wars experience, and I pulled a lot of material from the Designing Adventures chapter in the very first edition role-playing game because it got so much right. So even if you do have copies, don't worry, their eBay value is now still relevant because there's some modifications to this book. It's heavily branded as a 30th anniversary product, but it is a genuine, authentic representation of what the game was. And I hope you enjoy it. Tomorrow, myself and some other colleagues who have worked on basically every iteration of the role-playing game are going to be doing a panel that is a retrospective of 30 years of Star Wars role-playing, and my particular component is going to be talking about how it continues to influence the storytelling that we're doing at Lucasfilm. So I hope you can make that panel tomorrow. Thank you very much, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you, Papa. We're almost done. We're almost done. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll do a Q&A after. I forgot to mention that at the top, so we'll have time to talk some more. All right, so we've talked about a lot of products, a lot of product lines. Obviously, we don't have time to talk about everything. That doesn't mean we don't love all of the products that we do, all the product lines that we support as equally as humanly possible. So I'm going to go through just a few of additional things we're excited about, but again, this isn't everything. So Rise of the Empire is a new expansion for our Rebellion board game, designed by Corey. It introduces a lot of stuff from Rogue One, some new units, and a modified combat system, which is pretty sweet. Last year we announced two huge products in the Arkham Horror setting, both Arkham Horror, the card game, and Mansion of Madness 2nd Edition. We've been blown away by the support from the fans for both of those games. It's really amazing how much everyone seems to be really loving them. So we're obviously going to continue to support those. Path to Carcosa, which is our new deluxe box for Arkham Horror, the card game, is on sale now. I don't know if we have any of those left. We might. And then Streets of Arkham for Mansion of Madness. Armada. I know we have a lot of Armada fans and wondering what's coming. I can tell you that we are working on something big for Armada, so stay tuned for that. And lastly, probably everyone's wondering about the Imperial Assault app. It's real. It's a thing. We're working on it. Our screens, people playing it. We're play testing it. It is in development. We are going to get it to you as soon as humanly possible. I want to let you know that it's not vaporware. It's real. It's happening. So just stay tuned. All right. One more new product announcement. Let's do it. Star Wars Legion. It's our new tabletop miniatures game set in the Star Wars universe. It's designed by Alex Davey. Some of you may know who he is. He's worked a long time on X-Wing. He's worked on Armada. He's an amazing designer and developer. He designed this from the ground up. I think this gives you the opportunity to play out the many unsung battles of the Galactic Civil War. It gives you an opportunity to build and customize your own forces. It is not pre-painted. You have to paint them. You can paint them however you like. We have the very official paintings, but you can do whatever you want. You can make, orange stormtroopers. That's cool. So it gives you the opportunity, obviously, to create your own unique army, which is pretty great. I'm really excited about this. We've been working on this game for a long time. I think it's probably of all the announcements we've ever done, I feel like this is one of the most obvious announcements to most people. But I'm glad we're finally able to bring it to you. Working with the team, working with Lucasfilm on creating these miniatures was an excellent collaboration. It took a lot of work, a lot of energy, and I'm happy that we're finally able to show all this to you. So you can see these sweet Rebel Commandos, Luke Skywalker there, an old ATRT, and then there's Luke, obviously. And then Vader. I love that Vader. I loved the Imperial Assault Vader, but this Vader is really, really great. His stormtroopers, scout troopers on speeder bikes. I think you can all imagine what else we will have coming for this game. So I'll talk about it a little bit. I think there's been some speculation about like if we were to do a Star Wars miniatures game, would it be based on Rune Wars? It is not. It is, I think, something that is probably more comfortable and familiar to people who have played a lot of miniatures games in the past. It is units moving loosely across the table, staying in unit cohesion. Miniatures gamers know what unit cohesion means. It's that. We have these, but it's not just a traditional miniatures game though. Obviously, it has a little of our like FFG secret sauce kind of sprinkled in. So we have these. You can see here. Hard to see. There's these cool little movement tools here, and there's this circle. These pivot, and that's how you move across the battlefield. So it has this little hollow here that lines up with the base of a model. And you can see here on these vehicles that it has this little notch that fits into there, and then you can move to the end of that, to the end of that ruler. Obviously, it has what we're known for, custom dice. It has also comes with a ruler measurement tool. Oh yeah, here's one of the models. I forgot about this slide. All right, so this is a system I think a lot of you are going to be familiar with. Obviously, you have your unit, and then you'll have unit upgrades. So, you know, very similar to X-Wing, to Armada, to Rune Wars. This is something that I think that has been working very well for us, and people seem to enjoy. It's a fun, simple way of customizing your army without having to write a bunch of stuff down on a piece of paper and reference a bunch of books. So, Star Wars Legion. You can demo it today at our booth. I think it's going to be at 1 o'clock here, is that right? Yeah, 1 o'clock. I'm not sure what time it is now. So, if you want to duck out and go away in line, you can totally do that. But I hope you all like it. I hope you enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun for us to work on. As a longtime miniatures gamer, I'm very excited to bring this to everybody. I'm very excited to play it myself. It will be available in the early part of 2018, so stay tuned to our website for more details. So that's the presentation. Thank you all for being such a wonderful and fun audience. I really appreciate, again, taking the time to come down here and listen to us talk. So we're going to do a Q&A. If anyone has any questions, we'll be going around with a microphone. Just raise your hand and we'll do our best to answer them for you. Any questions right over there on the right?
Thank you again. Is there anything we can do as a fan base to make that Imperial Assault come out faster?
I'd love it to come out faster. The app is very complicated. I think I spent some time working in the digital department in my long history at FFG, and one thing I learned during that time is software development is deceptively difficult and time-consuming. So we're making it go as fast as we humanly can. We have a pretty big team on it for us, so we're working hard on it. We'll get it done as soon as humanly possible. I'm sorry it's taking this long. Oh, can you do it? Pray. Thank you. This guy here in the middle area.
Will the Legion box contain both factions?
Yes, it'll have both factions in the box. Yep. Yeah, all those miniatures that you saw on the screen, those are all in the core set.
What's going on with Netrunner? Is there new Netrunner board games, and when are more cycles going to be announced for the LCG?
So we have a new cycle that'll be, we haven't announced it obviously, but obviously we're going to continue doing cycles. I think that's set to come out at the end of the year, we're hoping. One thing that we're going to be doing for Netrunner though is that, for those of you who are familiar, Netrunner's nearing rotation. And that is going to be triggered by the release of the first pack of the next cycle. But that's a little delayed. We're actually going to be doing rotation prior. So in advance of Worlds, there will be rotation, even though there won't be a pack necessarily to replace them. So that's pretty much what's up with Netrunner. And there will be more stuff for Android for sure.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I feel like I'm missing a joke.
He hasn't.
What is it? What's the tragedy? I don't want to know. Okay, all right. Oh, that guy right there. Oh, there. Got it. All right.
Is there anything you can tell us about the future of Descent?
I'm sorry, the future of Descent. So Descent is obviously one of our favorite product lines. I think it's become a dungeon crawling classic. So we want to do everything we can to continue to support it going forward. We actually have something coming up relatively soon that you should just pay attention to our website. We'll have something very, very soon to show.
In reference to the Star Wars Legion, do you guys have an initial price, and what are the sizes of the miniatures?
The miniatures are, I want to say, I don't know the exact millimeter scale, but they're probably about like 34-ish millimeters high. They're pretty big. You'll be able to see them in the case, and obviously, play with it and do a demo so you can take a look at it for yourself. And I think that where did we land on the? Are we talking about the price?
Check the website.
Check the website.
Will the Legion game expand into some of the other time frames for Star Wars, so the new trilogies, the Clone Wars era, that sort of stuff, or is it focusing on the original trilogy?
Yeah, for the time being, we're focusing on the original trilogy. There's a lot of stuff there, so we're going to have a lot of really awesome stuff for a very long time, just focusing on those.
For the Genesis role-playing game, what kind of settings are you guys planning to do campaign moves for, things like that? Maybe Netrunner or anything else?
We currently have 2 settings in the works. We're working on a room-bound setting book, and we're also working on an Android setting book. So, yeah, we're super excited. Like Sam mentioned in the video, this is a great opportunity for us to explore our own settings in an RPG where they wouldn't necessarily be able to justify a line in and of themselves. So, we definitely are working on both of those, so stay tuned.
Are there any plans to revisit the Battlestar Galactica line, or is that done?
Well, that's a license. So,
check the website.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything to show on the website for Battlestar Galactica.
Are you guys ready to talk about if they're snap fit, or as far as Legion goes, the miniatures?
The assembly is very similar to Rune Wars. So if you've played with those, you can put them together in just like essentially it's an individual model in like less than a minute. So that's how they go together. One cool thing though that's different from Rune Wars is that each model, each miniature in a unit is unique. So that's pretty sweet.
With the delay of Episode 8, it was originally scheduled to release in May for Star Wars. Can you comment on how that's affected you guys as far as your forward planning or product releases?
Aaron's vigorously shaking his head. He didn't need to do that. No, I can't, obviously. I can't, sorry.
You guys have released books on Netrunner and the Arkham Horror series as far as like detailing the characters and the world. Is there any interest or plans that you could talk about with respect to Tyrannoth and even Twilight Imperium universe?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Chris about doing a Twilight Imperium book, and we'll do one eventually. I'm not sure when it'll be, but something will happen. But I think the book that we're working on for the Genesis system, that started as a lore book, and we transitioned it to Genesis. So it'll have a lot of that lore in it, and lets you explore that setting in a way that you haven't been able to yet. But I think it's just it's a fun way of giving you that lore in a way you can really interact with, instead of just reading it as a book.
With the Star Wars Legion system, is it going to be just smaller skirmish scale, or will it eventually, later down the product line, scale up in terms of game size?
It can scale however you want. I mean, it's point-based army construction.
I mean, like larger scale vehicles.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Like that. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Yeah. Go for it.
For Star Wars Armada, is there any plans for another campaign box, like the Corellia campaign, for a different style of campaign as opposed to Conquest?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously the Corellia campaign has been great for us. We're really happy with how popular that's been. We don't currently have another one on the books, but I know the team is really excited about the prospect of doing one. But I can't commit necessarily to if we're going to do one or not. But obviously, we're really happy with the way that fans received the Corellia campaign, so who's to say? Sorry, that's not a very good answer.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions.
All right.
Will we be able to use the Imperial Assault minis with Legions?
No. Well, you know, you can do whatever you want when you play at home. But yeah, believe me, when you see them together, you're not going to want to do that.
Okay, last one.
Can you say anything about future expansion cycles for L5R?
I don't know. What do you want to know?
Are you going to do it like Android, or is it going to be something else?
We'll be doing expansions. But just stay tuned. You'll see. It'll be cool. Trust me.
Okay, that was quick. I have a guy up here who's been very patient.
Thanks. Might be a complicated question.
Oh, go for it.
So first, thanks for the gun vote. Are you worried about player burnout in highly competitive games like X-Wing? And what kind of strategies do you think you might employ to, help players like cool down with maybe other styles of play, or
Yeah, I think that's largely a question for organized play. Steve, do you want to tackle this one? We'll bring Steve Horvath up here. Steve Horvath, everybody.
You didn't really think we'd do one of these, and I wouldn't say anything. So the question is, what are we going to do about high-level organized play? We're working on not only X-Wing, but all of our games to develop different tiers of play that will bring people in from all different levels, that whether you want to just play very casually with big groups of people, or you want to play in like X-Wing Open Championship Series types of events. We have some very cool announcements I think we're going to make in that space over the next several months, so stay tuned. There is going to be something for more than just the top tier levels of play going forward for sure.
Thanks, Steve. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next year.